And now I have told you before it come to pass, that when it come to pass, you might believe. Brothers and sisters, we're now entering a very challenging time in our lives where everyone's faith will be tested intensively, whether you are a Christian or not. We all know that the coronavirus was manufactured and released unto mankind so that the power that be could assume control all over the world. We also understand that the coronavirus is being used to further the enforcement of the mark of the beast system. And we also know that the deadly virus is used to depopulate the planet. But this one, I was not aware of. The coronavirus is now being used as a course of action for the power that be to turn everyone with fundamental beliefs into an apathetic or indifferent individuals through vaccination, which they call fun vac, by the way. We are here, my friends. Are we ready for this time of trouble?
Excuse me, on the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach.
But by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East. The present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses, and we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
My friends, guess who has some serious grudges against fundamentalist individuals? No other than Pope Francis himself. We find in Revelation chapter 12 verse 17, "And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ." Check this out. Interreligious dialogue is an important way to counter fundamentalist groups as well as the unjust accusation that religions sow division, Pope Francis said. Meeting with members of the Argentine Institute for Interreligious Dialogue November 18th, the Pope said that in today's precarious world, dialogue among religions is not a weakness. It finds its reason for being in the dialogue of God with humanity. The Pope said, we must beware of fundamentalist groups. Each religion has their own. In Argentina, there are some fundamentalist corners there. He said fundamentalism is a plague, and all religions have some fundamentalist first cousin. In other words, to believe in the Word of God as absolute truth is a plague to Pope Francis. This is the same man the world is putting on a pedestal. Should anyone in their right mind accept such deception which come in the name of health only to destroy humanity, my friends? It makes complete sense now. They must prepare the world to apprehend the mark of the beast when the time is right. We need to be prepared, and time is not in our favor, my brethren. Donald Trump anticipated 100 to 240,000 deaths in America alone to coronavirus. The headline read, White House predicts 100 to 240,000 will die in US from coronavirus. This could be a hell of a bad 2 weeks. This is going to be a very bad 2 or maybe 3 weeks. This is going to be 3 weeks like we've never seen before, Trump said at a White House press conference Tuesday. White House officials are projecting between 100 to 240,000 deaths in the US, with coronavirus fatalities peaking over the next 2 weeks. When you look at night, the kind of death that has been caused by this invisible enemy is incredible. Here are some questions no one is asking. How could he possibly know how many people are going to die to this virus? What do they know that we don't know, huh? What exactly are they doing with these coronavirus patients? My friends, the Word of God says in Matthew chapter 24 verse 12, And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Bill Gates wants to issue certification to people who's vaccinated in order to keep track of those who's not. For Mr. Gates, while his draconian desires are to destroy lives, he is also all about his money. Do you honestly think this man will invest millions of dollars for no profit in return? He is not that generous, my friends. In 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 10, For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows.
Until we came up with the self-swab and showed FDA that that's equivalent, we were thinking the people who might be able to man those kiosks would be the recovered patients. Now, we don't want to have a lot of recovered people. To be clear, we're trying through the shutdown in the United States to not get to 1% of the population infected. We're well below that today, but with exponentiation, you could get past that 3 million. I believe we will be able to avoid that with the having this economic pain. Eventually, what we'll have to have is certificates of who's a recovered person, who's a vaccinated person, because you don't want people moving around the world where you'll have some countries that won't have it under control. Sadly, you don't want to completely block off the ability for those people to go there and come back and move around.
My friends, Jesus will fight for us as long as we remain faithful to him. In Revelation chapter 11 verse 18 we read, And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. And we also read in Matthew chapter 24 verse 21-22, For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sakes, those days shall be shortened. My friends, even though there is a lot of ambiguity to face in the shortcoming days, rest assured that our deliverance is also nigh. Okay folks, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching Godly Truth. If you like it, please share it and subscribe to help the channel grow. Have a blessed day. Maranatha.